What is up, guys? This is going to be a video going into protected highs and protected lows and when you should pair a SOUP at a higher time frame level where you should be expecting a reversal. So I've been getting a lot of DMs and questions about how to identify when we're going to SOUP a low or if it's going to be a protected low or protected high, and in the case of a reversal. So we're going to be going into that. I'm going to show actually a trade breakdown in a sense of a trade that I took with the community last week, and then I'm also going to be doing another example after that, a short example. So let's get into it. So when we are looking for an entry at a potential reversal point, whether you trade higher time frame continuations and lower time frame reversals like I do, or just in general just reversals, obviously I have a higher time frame level to be paired with an entry model on the lower time frame. So what that kind of means is I need a higher time frame level to support a reversal. I'm not just going to be taking a random reversal and just hope, maybe get a change in the state or an inverse or something along those terms. I always have a higher time frame bias to go along with my lower time frame entry point. So in this example, I'm not going to go fully into depth on the higher time frame, because that is what we teach. But however, I will kind of just break it down. We have much more confluence at this level, and obviously we are in a bull market here. But obviously we have a 4-hour fair value gap here, and to really dumb it down, where we found our exact point for reversal is on the 15-minute time frame, which is my favorite time frame with pairing with 1-minute entries. We actually took CE of this order block. So when I pair order blocks, especially with higher time frame levels, I use body high and body low. It definitely ranges on what your model is and stuff like that, but that is just what I pair it with. We also had a 30-minute and a 1-hour and daily actually confluence with this level here, but that is just the 4-hour and the 15-minute confluence with that. So again, before I'm looking for any type of reversal, higher time frame or lower time frame, I need a higher time frame level. So now dropping back down to the 1-minute time frame where we took our entry off of this trade. At this yellow box you guys see here, this is the top of our potential reversal point when looking for our reversal on the higher time frame. However, when we are looking for either a protected low or protected high to be put in, or a SOUP in this case, we need 3 confluences to kind of confirm a protected low in this example. So the first one is going to be consequent encroachment of a higher time frame PD array. The second one is going to be an inverse or a lower time frame entry trigger, and the third one is going to be time. So starting with the first one, obviously we did trade into this reversal point here with this reversal level. However, we did have a few other confluences that aligned better with this 15-minute order block that you guys see here. So I'm going to delete the 4-hour and kind of just go off of this, because this is where we had our time frame alignment and multiple confluences with that. Okay, so when we do hit the top of our level in this case, we want to look at a V-shaped recovery as well. And as you can see, this is somewhat of a strong V-shaped recovery, but however, we need those 3 steps to really align. So the 30-minute, the daily, and the 15-minute, as you can see here, we never hit consequent encroachment. Obviously, it's not always 100%, so we could still reverse at this point. So that's the first reasoning for why this low here is an unprotected low. So going into the second step now, it would be some type of lower time frame or mid time frame entry trigger. What that could be is a change in the state of delivery, an inverse, or some type of very strong V-shaped recovery. So obviously here on the 1-minute time frame, we do inverse this bearish fair value gap, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people took this trade and ended up getting stopped out. And the reason why I didn't take this is because of our mid time frame inverses. So when I talk about mid time frame confluences, if I'm looking for a point of reversal or a point for continuation, my mid time frame would be the 15-minute and the 30-minute. However, when I'm looking for an entry model or an entry trigger on the lower time frame, since I execute on the 1-minute, my mid time frames would be the 2, 3, and the 5-minute. And in this case, for this example, it's going to be on the 3-minute. And we actually created this bearish 3-minute here. And with V-shaped recoveries, when we create a bearish gap like the 1-minute or this 3-minute that I'm showing you, to really confirm it's going to be a strong V-shape, is you want to see the first candle closure before or trading into this gap to be an inverse. And obviously we failed to inverse here and we took out this unprotected low. So for the third step of what I like to look for or keep in mind when looking for these reversals, and how to identify our unprotected lows and highs, would be the time of where I'm looking to take an entry. So if I did consider this 1 minute to be valid and wanted to take it, I would look at the time. So in this example here, it was 11:24. So I like to keep in mind hourly opens, even the 4-hour, obviously, but usually an hourly open, a 30-minute, 15, and even down to the 5-minute. I don't usually tend to want to enter a trade just like a minute or 5 minutes before a 4-hour. It obviously depends on the time frame, but in this case, when I'm on the lower time frame looking for an entry and already have a higher time frame level, what I like to keep in mind is usually the 5-minute. So we have 11:24 here. In this case, I want to see a closure of the 5-minute and see if we create any type of bearish 5-minute. So now that we're on the 5-minute, the reason why I look for something as small as that is obviously we're in a downtrend because we are looking for a reversal. And if we have a closure, or if I enter a trade at 11:24, let's just say my entry trigger shows and I enter the trade, and the next 5-minute opens up or closes, and we have the next open, and we create some type of bearish 5-minute. I don't want price to instantly trade into that and distribute lower off of that. So that's what I always keep in mind when looking at time. In this example as well, you can obviously look at the 15-minute or even the 30, since it's somewhat 5 minutes off of that. Now the last point I'm gonna talk about when looking for reversals and pairing that with protected lows and protected highs and also SOUPS is purely based off of it's a reversal. If it's a higher time frame continuation and a lower time frame reversal, like how my model and how I trade, you're not gonna miss the full move. There's still a lot of move left, especially if we're in a sell side or a sell model and we have a sell side curve and we are creating a buy model. There's always gonna be some type of retrace, whether that's with OTE or even just something basic like a fair value gap. So there's always going to be more move, and there's no reason to rush into a trade. So now that I've completed my 3 steps of looking for a protected low or protected high, in this example, I would wait to see on the 15-minute or the 30-minute open. So obviously you can see that this low was at 11:30. So if we head over to the 15-minute, what we can also pair is liquidity, right? Just a higher time frame or mid time frame in this example sweep. As you can see here, the 15-minute closed pretty bearish. We took out the low and tapped into consequent encroachment, and then we distributed. So now that we have, again, all of our steps done, we got our new 15 and 30-minute open, we had a sweep, we tapped into consequent encroachment of our level, everything adds up. There are multiple ways to actually take an entry off of a SOUP and a protected low in this example being put in place. So the first of which entry models that I take, which is on the riskiest side, would be a limit order at this unprotected low. So the second that we sweep this low, you get entered in longs in this example, and obviously target any type of liquidity or whatever you want to target in this example. However, the trade that we took, which is a somewhat of a safer entry, was purely just this small 1-minute inverse here with stops at a protected low. And the reason why protected lows and protected highs are very nice and safe to play with or trade with would be the risk management on it. There's a lot of RR that you can catch when looking at these reversals, and purely based off a SOUP or a protected low, much strong confluence for that stop loss to be put there. Again, you always want confluence behind where you're going to have your set stop and your set take profit. So again, this was the trade that we took with the community. A pretty nice entry, a bit of drawdown, just about 5-7 points, targeting buy side liquidity for a 3.89 RR and about 80 points. Now the last entry I'm going to go over, which is also a bit riskier, but I'd say one of the safest and one of the best when you really are looking for a sniper entry, was an OTE play. So when we did take this trade, it was around PM, so we didn't have this entry until Asia Open. But something that I really like basing protected lows or reversal points with is an OTE entry. So how that would play out here would be our protected low to our swing high of our leg. Also keep in mind I pair higher time frame legs with this, so it's not just a random low and high. You need to have some type of confluence with the hourly or the 4-hour open or leg in a sense. So this would be the TM pocket. All this would be is just a limit order, either at 0.62 or what I usually take is 0.665 or 0.665, yeah. And just run a very tight stop because the win rate isn't, I wouldn't say amazing on these, but the RR that you can get is very, very nice. And obviously here, relatively equal highs, very clear target, and that's how the trade would have played out there. So this video went a bit longer than I thought, so I'm not going to do a sell example in this video, but if you were more interested in learning about our levels, maybe SOUPS as well, or any type of confluence that we use. Check the link in the description for the community. If you want to join, feel free. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to comment those and I will answer those. And yeah, that is the video on protected lows, protected highs, and also when to expect a SOUP.